folks, I call to order the January 21st, 2025 public hearing and special meeting of the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law and Public Services. Time is now 6:01 p.m. Mr. Clerk, when you get the chance, will you please call the roll? Present.
Alderwoman Barbosa. Alderman McNamara.
Present.
Alderman Santiago.
Present.
Alderman Simpson.
Present.
And Pabon. Alderman Smedley. Alderwoman Beloin. Alderman Russell. He is a voting member for Evercore.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please read into the record the notice of public hearing.
I would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the legal notice.
We have a motion to waive made by Simpson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. The reading is waived. Having been noticed properly, we will begin the public hearing. Please remember to state your name and address for the record and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes. Number 36666, tax modification agreement with Ellis Stanley Land LLC, and item number 36686, minutes of the Common Council Committee meetings. Are there any speakers for these items?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure if you want to speak during public participation or during the, you can just turn the microphone on.
Oh yeah, red button, thanks. Would probably be best to save the majority of your comments for the meeting itself. If you want to say anything, briefly now, feel free.
Yeah. Well, I'll just introduce those. And I'm Attorney Michael Carrier, 24 Cedar Street, New Britain. I have with me Mr. Darian Crimmins, the Vice President for Energy and Sustainability for Wind Development Companies, which is really the builder of the Ellis block.
For any other speakers on these items, the tax modification agreement and the minutes of the Common Council Committee. One more time, are there any speakers for these items? And one final time to technically make it 3 this time. Are there any anyone on the phone? No, great. Seeing no speakers, we will close 4 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the tax modification Ellis Street Stanley Land LLC. Once again, first may I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Santiago.
I make a motion to accept and refer to the full council with a neutral recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to refer with a neutral recommendation made by Alderman Santiago, seconded by Alderwoman Savager, pardon me. Any discussion? I think at this point it would be appropriate to invite Attorney Carrier back up to continue where he left off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the developer, Ellis Mill LLC. We're here this evening to request a tax modification agreement for the solar voltaic facility to be built on 250. This 250 Stanley Street was originally part of 321 Ellis Street, and the original thought was that in developing this, on the front piece. So that was going to be it was separated so that it could be sold off and developed in another way. It still would have been subject to the actual council, whoever brought forth a proposal, but it didn't appear to be needed at the time. But then the idea came around about having it actually help the residents to the tune of like $92,000 a year, which is almost per unit off of their electric bill. So we came back with a modification to allow for the solar facility to be built on 250 Stanley Street, which was approved. That piece, since it is now a separate piece of property, isn't part of the original tax modification plan. So that just throws off the numbers, because if it's going to be taxed. Now, I'd like to have Mr. Crimmon come up to basically explain the project a little more and how the numbers work, so you can see what I'm trying.
Thanks, everyone. My name is Darian Crimmon, representing Wind Company. Watch your head. Oh.
Set him up there, excuse me.
Slides are working? Okay, great. So I'm just going to cover a few slides to...
I don't think we need the drop-down screen, because anybody here can see the TV screens, and you folks can't see it, right? Or can you? I think the drop-down just does what it wants. Okay, okay. All right, if you're okay, Mr. Chairman, that's fine. Okay.
I promise I'll be quick. Just a few slides to introduce the solar project. I was here. Oh. Sure, that's fine. Once again, my name is Darian Crimmon, representing Wind Companies, the developer of 321 Ellis. Hopefully you all know Wind Companies by now and the work that we're doing at the Ellis block. We are approximately 95% complete with transforming that vacant mill into 154 units of affordable housing, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful housing. And that's the mission statement of the company on the screen there. I've been with the company 16 years, and I can say that I firmly believe in everything here, and I've seen our ability to transform neighborhoods and communities and really maintain them for the benefit of the whole community. And specifically at Ellis, this is the revised master plan that was approved by the Common Council back in June 24. And this is showing the mill building, the parking, and then the solar both on the mill and on the adjacent lot to the right of the screen. The solar will be owned by an entity, Stanley Street Solar, and that entity's leasing both the portions of the roof from the owner of the mill building and leasing the land that the ground mount solar array will be located on from the owner of that land parcel. So the mill building owner is Ellis Street Mill LLC, and the land parcel to the right is Ellis Stanley Land LLC, and the solar owner is Stanley Street Solar LLC. Lots of entities, it's all wind companies, and so we're uniform and united in our commitment to transforming the whole parcel into something that I think is going to be truly remarkable. This is our largest solar project that we've done, even though we've done 20-something of these on various properties across New England and DC and other states. This is one that I'm really excited about. And I'm excited about it because it's really an example of community solar, where we're able to produce power at one location and then directly share it with the residents who, in this case, live in the adjacent property at Ellis Mill. And so there's approximately, as Michael mentioned, $92,000 per year in available savings for residents that will be transferred automatically on a monthly basis to each resident's electric bill. So the 92,000 is an annual number, but every month, a certain allotment per apartment will receive credits on their electric bill. So that equals about $600 per year. Savings are automatic, paid by Eversource to reduce each eligible household's monthly electric bill. And so that's why we're doing this. One of the reasons that we need a pilot in this case is because the solar production, each year this is going to operate over the next 20 years, it doesn't increase. The value of that solar doesn't increase. In fact, it decreases. The amount we're paid by Eversource is fixed per kilowatt hour for 20 years. And like all solar, there's a slight degradation every year. So we model, and what we've seen in our projects is about 0.5% decrease in the amount of electricity that this is going to produce every year, and that over the 20 years decreases gradually. So we're producing the most we will produce in year 1, and then by year 20, we're producing the least that the project will produce. But the amount paid for that by Eversource is fixed, and so the value of the solar actually decreases over time. So because of that, the solar project really has no ability to pay for what might be future increases in tax, unlike real estate or unlike other developments that you might see. And so it's very common for solar projects to request and receive pilot agreements with local municipalities to enable the financing of the solar. So that's basically the position that we are in, and the reason we're coming today to request a pilot. The pilot that we're asking for would keep the land-owning entity of that separate parcel, Ellis Stanley Land, remaining responsible for taxes based on the assessment of the land only at the current mill rate. And then separate from that, the solar that gets installed, because it's a lease and because it's owned by a separate entity, it would actually be personal property if I'm correct in how I'm interpreting the tax law. And so that wouldn't be assessed to the landowner, it would be assessed to the Stanley Street entity, and we're asking for an exemption for that value for a period of 25 years. I'm happy to answer questions. Those are the slides I had. Hopefully, I would recommend that you consider a positive referral to the full council in lieu of just a neutral referral, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I think there are a few questions. I'll take the liberty of just asking the first one, then I'll pass it off to whomever is next. In the circumstance of public housing, there's specific financing tied to the pilot period. Is there contingent financing here, or is this more of something that's already happening, but you're looking for some sort of assurance going into the future?
We have not closed on financing for this. We have the ability to start the project and order equipment at risk, and that's exactly what we're doing. And it legitimately is at risk because of various external factors, not insignificantly the potential for future tariffs or tariffs later this year on solar equipment. And we're basically rushing to order equipment, lock in the pricing so we can move forward quickly. With that said, a pilot and certainty regarding taxes is necessary for closing on financing. So any future bank loan or any financing that we obtain will require certainty. The project would not be able to close if we did not have surety of what the future taxes could be. I will also say the state of Connecticut does have tax exemption. Was the law supporting that, I believe, was passed in 2003. Don't quote me on that. Apply to multifamily. It doesn't apply to what we're doing here with community solar, because community solar didn't exist when that law was passed, and it hasn't been updated since.
So this is something that possibly would have been under the purview of that being community solar.
And I would say potentially will be exempt. There was a bill introduced in bank, et cetera, but it did not pass. And I don't even know if it was voted on in full. But But that's correct, yeah.
Thank you. I don't want to hog the mic. Start with Alderman Pavone.
Tax is about $5,600 per year. The land parcel is currently paying in the first year that it's been its own separate parcel. So before this, it was a 10-acre parcel under the existing pilot. And then the 3 acres is owned by the Ellis Stanley Land entity. That 3-acre lot, the land-only assessment is a little north of $5,000. What the would-be assessed value of the personal property, which is the solar equipment, would be.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
To Alderman Pavone's question, that would, on the personal property side of things, that over, I think your ask is 25 years?
25 years, yes.
Yeah. And he's provided us with a schedule that the tax break would be over 25 years. And I don't know how he notes the depreciation. I know Mr. McConick is here, so, and he knows a lot, so he can shed light on this, if through you, Mr. Chair.
I'd love to hear Mr. Koenig's opinion. Thanks.
Everybody. When this project was brought to my attention, so I had asked for cost of the equipment would be for the solar. So, and that's how personal property is in Connecticut. It's every year the owner of the property must have a schedule that goes with the property. So the original cost is $1,625,000. Over 7 years, it depreciates, and then in the 8th year, it goes to 30%, and that becomes taking the original cost that was quoted to me, taking the depreciation factor, then taking it times 0.7 for the assessment, and I'm coming up with various tax amounts for the 25 years. Came up with the $461,000 or so in.
Alderman McNamara?
Oh, thank, well, that, again, the mill rate, but this is just a projection over time if it was 39.59.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, well, that, I think that specifies what the ask is in terms of being requested. So, thanks, Mike.
Okay.
That's 460.
I haven't seen that calculation, but thank you for that. What I heard was that there's a 31.5% annual.
That's after 8 years, correct? Or it goes down to 30 after 8?
Right.
It's a sliding scale.
For personal property, and this is typically called Code 24 in personal property that all assessors would use for the taxation of this type. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Stay close.
Yep. I'm right here.
You have a few of my papers.
Oh, sorry. Here you go.
Well, I know that on the federal tax basis, the depreciation schedule is much different. It's an accelerated depreciation where the full value of the solar is depreciated. From perspective, when you install solar, it loses its value almost immediately. I mean, it's like driving a new car off the lot, and then after 5 years, 8 years, nobody is taking a solar farm that on the initial installation, but then it quickly depreciates. And the annual value from that, the actual production, and it does decrease over time. So in year 20, we're not at 30% of its value, and I would argue it should not be assessed at 30% of its value. I'm not as familiar with the state schedule as the federal depreciation schedule.
Sorry. Counting on you, Alderman Russell, thank you.
Start throwing stuff.
Since you mentioned the federal, are there tax benefits, or is that the valuation the feds give you? Is there a tax today taking those things away? So
Right.
can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there are tax credits at the federal level that are available, and those are specifically what we are utilizing in order to send the 90,000 per residents that live at Stanley Street. We're not collecting a payment for that community solar value, whereas project and you get a 10% discount off of the credit value that you receive. So you receive $100 in credits, you pay. In our case, it's different. We're passing through the full value of those savings to the residents. So for every dollar from those residents. And that's supported by the federal tax credit.
Alderwoman Beloin Saavedra?
Hi, can you explain to me then how you make the money, correct? And we're looking at $461,000 in a tax break, and of that tax break, and I'm doing my own math this way, 92,000 of that is going to be given to the residents. How do you or the company with the solar panel make money? What is your incentive to have of the electricity generated through these solar panels? How is the company making its money?
Good question. So the total project costs are more than that 1.6 million or whatever it was quoted. That is the value of the residual property, but the roof and the land. Where to start? We've typically, and in this case, what we will do is we'll provide some amount of bank loan is supported by the revenue payment from Eversource that's based on the rate that they are guaranteeing us. We're going to take 20% of that and give it to residents directly, and then the remaining 80% we're going to use to cover our debt service. So that is the shorthand sort of deals in, I said maybe 20 individual cases. Never value of the solar away.
Can I follow up, Mr. Chair? Yes. So 20% of what you sell to the electric company goes back to the residents, but then 80% is used to pay down the debt you owe on the bank. Where's your profitability for the company? Again, I get to the question of what is the solar panels.
So the amount of equity put up has a return on that based on the available tax credits and then the residual debt coverage. So our minimum is at 1.15, depending on where we go. It might be 1.2 debt coverage, and this is plus 0.2, debt coverage ratio. And basically our equity amount that we put in gets that bank loan. So it's sort of a dance between, do we put in 30%, 35%, 40%, like how much is needed to
how will you dispose of them? Will they sit on that property in New Britain being a blight forever, or is there a disposal of solar panels in other projects?
We have disposed of them specifically on roofs where the roofs need to be replaced. Maybe the solar could continue for a couple of years, but the roof needs to be replaced regardless. We've removed them, and there are a few companies, the aluminum that they're recycling, not the actual electrical components. In this case, the lease that Stanley Street Solar will have with both the landowner, Ellis Stanley Land, and also Ellis Solar at the end of the 20-year lease term. And the reason it's a 20-year lease term and we're asking for 20 turn on, and then the decommissioning period is also at the tail end.
Of course, any next speaker, Alderwoman Barbosa.
Monitoring and accountability, what mechanisms will be in place to monitor the operational savings generated by the solar facility and ensure that
This is a new program. They've done one of these in the whole state of Connecticut. It's a working group that advises. Responsibility is to report back up to the administrators of the utility program how effective it is. But within the actual regulation, take that 20% and send it to the meters and the accounts that we specify. And once we specify them, let's say someone's receiving a solar credit, 2 years later they move out, and then a month later someone else moves in, that transition will automatically happen, so that new resident will automatically receive a bill without us necessarily doing anything. So it's 100% on Eversource's and they are also responsible for reporting up to the agency to document.
do you have any data from similar solar projects that have received tax exemption?
I could ask there's a industry group or maybe 100 solar professionals. I could ask that group, but I don't have any on my fingertips right now.
Head on the community.
Alderman Barbosa?
I'll let you go. I got like 15 questions. I
Thank
figured out
you.
which ones I'm gonna ask.
Us tonight. I guess my first question would be relating to the language presented in this goes through as is, that there's going to be an annual savings of about $92,700. Is that accurate in terms of this?
Depending on weather. So if we get a very, very cloudy year, the amount of solar produced won't be as high as what was forecasted or underwritten.
Right. So aside from natural elements, the slides I have here, rate is fixed for 20 years by Eversource, but this chart shows a decreasing production of electricity. So savings as a city of that 92,000 change.
So there would also be
And through you, Mr. Chair, the language we have here specifies that this is a tax modification agreement. It doesn't establish a payment in lieu of taxes. Yes, maybe this is for Corporation Counsel, actually. Does the language we have here
I'm actually going to ask Mr. Koenig that.
I guess essentially what it's going to do is, if you did vote for this, there is a modification to the taxes, because in turn, instead of paying the tax, they'd be paying zero. The original concept was that it was going to be part of the real property, but in Connecticut, solar like this that are leased are typically handled as personal property. So the real property that it sits on will pay its regular property tax, and I guess the tax modification would adjust that.
Thank you. And the language we have here, if we voted on it right now, establishes the modification agreement, a tax modification agreement for 25 years, and we have, if it's 0.5%, year over year? I'm just looking for a more complete picture of,
The production would still continue to go down by 0.5% annually, 1 through 25. The value of the solar would go down remarkably. So the Eversource value is fixed for the first 20 years, and then after year 20, it would go to the wholesale rate, which is 1/8 of the value from Eversource. So a significant reduction in any revenue in year 21. It could otherwise be decommissioned after year 20.
now, is that value according to the price or the?
The price, the value of the solar is based on how much the electricity, a certain value for the first 20 years. After year 20, that Eversource is not going to buy the electricity. They don't have to, basically.
Right.
So the electricity will continue to flow to the grid. As a generator, the way that works is the generation facility will, and so it's a wholesale rate, which is like, I don't know what it is, 5 or 6 cents a kilowatt hour. It's extremely low.
Why aren't we doing this now as the state? 'Cause that's a rhetorical question, but, wow. Thank you. No, this has been very educational. I think I'm all set.
To Alderwoman Barbosa.
Thanks. Just the solar field, is it solely for the benefit of the residents in those mills? Does the energy asset go anywhere else? Like if I lived at 92 Stanley, would I, there's no, it's not a source of asset or revenue anywhere else but Brass Mill?
Right,
Is that it?
Ellis Mill,
Ellis
right,
Mill, sorry.
right. And we're required to only enroll affordable residents, households that qualify. And because we have the 154 right there, and that facility has qualified through administered Eversource program, Eversource has the green light to basically provide the benefit directly to those meters.
And since this is a unique or one-off, one-time here, are you aware of, I think you said, but in Massachusetts or anywhere else where the typical length of the modification, like the 20 years for the utility, and now the ask is for 25 years. Is there, you know, in terms of the financing or the whole scheme of things you have, could you live with less than 25 years?
We could live with 20 years, assuming that this is our plan, to construct the project this year. I don't know how that works relative to just when the first, I don't know if you could comment.
Yeah. So personal property has to be declared every year by November 1st, and it has, whatever's on the property, if this solar array is up and installed as of October 1st of 2025, so that's something to keep in mind. So when we talk about beginning the any kind of a on a 25, it would first impact taxes in 26.
Thank you.
So just to answer your question, 20 years starting in the tax year 2026 would.
With that being said, given the extension of deadlines, if the solar installation does not proceed as planned, what legal measures are in place for the city to reassess the tax?
Might be a corporation counsel type question.
Question again?
What is the regarding the current status of the construction for 250 Main Street? If the solar installation is accountable?
So, according to the draft agreement, I don't know if you got a copy of it. Point 1 of the draft agreement says that the agreement will be null and void if Stanley Solar fails.
27?
2025. That's the draft agreement right now.
Completion by 2025?
They have to complete the solar installation, the personal property improvement agreement is null and void.
Are you guys on board? I mean, are you guys,
The solar equipment will be delivered and installed on that lot before, no. I have approximate, but we haven't actually released it because we're waiting on this.
And more questions, Alderman Santiago.
Yeah, this is gonna go to about the 92. Now, how many units are there in the building again? I've not recalled.
154.
So 150, so every single one of the units will basically be able to benefit from the tax,
A year.
per year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that answers the rest of the whole thing, because again, it was pretty much how much, I thought it might be more or whatever. So every single unit would be beneficial for it. It's about $50 a month, correct?
Yeah.
600 times
Yeah.
4, yeah, about 50.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty much that's, and then,
There's only one scenario I can see where if a resident opts out for whatever reason, expect that and not sign them up for the program. So exclusion is possible, but
why would they?
qualified as income eligible. Yeah.
so not every,
Yeah, all the households.
I'll just, Alderman Russell.
If they do opt out, can you tell me where that money would go? Would that be if there's
Yeah.
money left over?
Yeah, the allocation would change so that each resident would basically increase or something.
All right, thank you.
I had one additional question generated. You said that approximately 20% is being redirected to the residents. Is there something in here that locks that in, or is?
That is what's required. Renewable energy program, which is based on state law, state statute, the program that Eversource is required is the program that we are enrolling in, and there are program manuals and a contract, but the city, for example.
Right, but that's what, is that the same agreement that locks you into that 20-year period of
Exactly.
payments too? So it's the same, so
That's
you're
exactly
required to
it.
give 20% in order to get the 20 years?
That's exactly.
That seems like something written by the Alderwoman Belen Saavedra.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to a previous question. Does this project entail?
I don't know how many panels. It's about 750 kilowatts AC on that lot. So maybe
Go back to this question again, just a straightforward answer, please. When they're decommissioned and they need to be disposed of, are they staying on that property as decommissioned solar panels, or is it all going to be removed?
So the terms of the lease, the lease is for 25 years. So the decommissioning period will be at the end of that 25-year term and require the removal of the solar.
Okay, so it would require you to remove the...
Yes.
Alderwoman Scott?
I know we were talking about if the units aren't full or occupied at the time, would we still be able to benefit, the residents benefit from the $50?
Well, if no resident is living in a particular apartment, then
Okay, thank you.
that's administered through Eversource, and nuances.
Thanks.
Thanks for answering all these questions. We've got a few more. Alderman Santiago?
Just a quick, just to reiterate, the property itself will still be taxed, just not, the land itself will be taxed, just the panels that are on there.
That's the
Correct.
proposal.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and at the full rate?
The mill rate.
I looked it up, the valuation's about $107,000, so it would be of the land only, I believe, but, thank you.
The valuation of 250 Stanley Street is $203,000, so 100 investment times our mill rate, that's 56.2574 in tax.
Okay, yeah, thank you. My math,
Alderman Simpson?
Thank you. You may have mentioned this earlier. Have to apply to get these, the benefit, or is it automatically applied to their bills?
They don't have to apply. The disclosures and the program information is part of the leasing pack. The solar, or literally just gifting it. So our council has determined we don't need a contract with each resident, so they don't have to apply, and they don't have to actually execute a contract either.
Alderwoman Barbosa?
Question, you mentioned earlier opt-out, so if they don't have to apply, then why would they have that option to opt out of it?
Despite what might seem like a great deal, might want nothing to do with it, and that's their discretion, so
People choose to pay more.
that's true.
I would entertain a
Mr. Chair.
brief. Let's all take a 5-10 minute recess to, that was quite a lot of information, so let's say 10 minutes and all in favor of a 10-minute recess?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Reminder, we are to return in a minute or two, so. Will call us back from recess. I just want to say thanks to everybody for working so diligently on this one and we are, wow, yes, cooperatively. Right. We'll resume our discussion and entertain any motions or amendments. Alderman Sant.
Yeah,
Just to wrap up.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for deliberating and considering this. The reason that we're doing this program benefit residents, and to do so, we need certain subsidies. Affordable housing would not exist if there weren't state housing tax credits, federal housing tax credits, federal programs through HUD, other programs, abatement. Same thing for solar. Solar would not exist in this form where it's community solar, where we're benefiting residents with a significant amount of, if not for certain incentives. And so when you compare the potential tax revenue that the city might get over 20 years, 470,000 sounds like $5 million or more over that 20-year period. And the way that we will do that is by relying on the state program through Eversource, the federal programs like the tax credits that exist, and also the ability to finance it would remain undeveloped and basically from the rest of our property and forgotten about. I'd rather not see it developed into self-storage or some other future, purpose. But that's the competition. And on your end, I understand what's the value of potential tax revenue, but I want our ability to deliver on that through the solar. So I'd hope that that would be considered as we deliberate. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, and I appreciate, and the council appreciates investment in the city, the thoughtful redevelopment of the entire two parcels together. People are very, and just thanks for coming in and bearing with us as we deliberate and move through it. But at this point,
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Santiago.
Mr. Chair, I would like to offer.
Please let us know what your amendment is.
Amendment would be where the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whereas the period of where it crossed out 25 years and add 10. And then down where it was resolve At the end would be for 10-year to apply to Common Council for additional period of exception.
I have a motion. Do we have to amend? Do I have a second? Seconded by Alderman Simpson. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing no discussion on the amendment, all in favor of the amendment say aye. 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 All opposed, nay. The motion on the resolution as amended. Any, Alderman Simpson?
I'd like to offer on the the sixth whereas to replace the word approximately with the words upwards to, and that's all.
Second.
I have a clarify upwards to is what you want in there, or at, can we find maybe a? Up to?
Up to that.
Okay. People, directions can get confusing sometimes. So we've got I have a second on the amendment from Chicago. Any discussion on this amendment? Again, can you just restate it one more time?
Yes, in the sixth whereas, replace the word approximately with the phrase up to.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole whereas?
Yeah.
So, in total, it reads, whereas the proposed solar facility has been designed to maximize the financial benefits shared with residents by providing annual savings $92,787 directly to affordable housing residents of 321 Ellis Street, and now the change there is to just change the word approximately to up to. No problem.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
Chair, just a question to, now this 92,787 is not, it could be more than that, correct? Couldn't it be more, or is this is pretty much what the 20%? Because we're talking whatever accumulates from the cells, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So there could be more than 20, it could be more than that.
It could be if we had 360 sunny days.
Yes.
Whereas we normally have 280.
Okay, thank you. Another question, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, to you. Is this issue with the up to, coming again, is just pretty much?
I think.
Thank you, thank you.
Alrighty, any
Mr.
further?
Chair.
Corporate counsel?
Just a point of order. I think because we had the original one, and then we had the change. Yes. The first. Sorry, I missed that.
So we have to go back and technically go with the resolution, replace it, and
Correct.
amend it for that one, correct?
Correct.
Or could we just do it all since we're doing the changes?
True, you could do it at that point, yeah.
Let's do
Okay.
it all encompassing.
So why
There
don't
we
we should we withdraw the amendments and then start over?
Yes, all right,
Okay. Sorry.
thank you.
Alderman Simpson? Thank you. Amendments withdrawn.
Okay. And I also, Mr. Chair, I would like to withdraw my amendments also.
Does that require a vote? Yes. All in favor?
No, he withdrew.
Okay, now, it's withdrawn. We are back to the original resolution.
To a
Alderman,
point of order to back
Mayor.
up the council is clearly labeled substitute with the amendments.
I think so.
So you have to move to
I will-
substitute.
Sure, pass that to me. Thanks, I will take a crack at this one. I will make a amendment as the, motion to amend, and I will, I would like to adopt the substitute language provided here on. I would, in addition to that, like to amend the we're doing the other one first. Where's the years?
No, we're gonna do the approximate first.
Okay.
because then it goes down.
Sure, we will amend the sixth whereas to change the word approximately to up to, and then the third and final amendment will be to change the period of time in the seventh whereas from 25 years to 10 years with an option to renew added to the resolved. To renew added to the resolved.
I think
No,
Alderman
no, no.
Santiago wanted,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yep,
you would have to, do you incorporate the end resolve for a 10-year period with the option to apply to common council for additional period of exemption?
Thank you for that language.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got those three changes.
Second?
On this amendment. Who's counting? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the resolution as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Great, the amendments carry. Back to discussion on the resolution as amended. Way to go. Any further discussion on? No. Oh, Alderwoman Scott?
I had a really quick question. I just wanted to know if it was, is the heat electric in the apartments? Is it electric or gas?
Oh, good question. We do have natural gas and we have electric. The building.
Okay. And what happens if they need to be repaired, the solar?
Including panel replacement or annual maintenance needs.
Okay. And I just wanted to say, I'm excited that we're going to have some, we're going to be using natural energy for this, the solar, the green. Excited that that's going to happen here in the city, and that this will bring an extra, hopefully an extra benefit. And it's a pilot, so I'm excited to see, how it comes out, in 10 years. And
All right. Any further, Alderman Santiago?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Seeing possibly no further discussion, of the resolution as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The resolution carries. Thank you very much for coming in, and, all right. Moving along then, the second item on the agenda is item number 36686, minutes of the Common Council Committee meetings.
To refer back to the council with a neutral recommendation.
I have a motion to refer with a neutral recommendation made by Alderwoman Boulain Saavedra and seconded by Alderman Simpson. And any discussion on this, and Alderwoman Boulain Saavedra would like to roll it out?
When I put it in and it was being referred here, I said there was going to need to be some tweaking done because this initial resolution didn't take into consideration the state law, which requires minutes to be posted within 7 days of a meeting taking place. And upon recommendation of the Corporation Council and our standing rules of the Common Council, just requiring that minutes of Common Council committees take place, and what's recorded in the minutes, the makers of motions and the votes, and that we can, to meet the letter of the law, but also get to my intention where should then come back to the body for a vote, is within those 7 days, the minutes can be posted either as pending committee approval and/or listed of the minutes, and then at the subsequent meeting of that committee, the committee would vote to approve the minutes. And however we want to word to the wording, I just want you all to understand what my intentions are. I do feel strongly that when minutes represent what actually unfolds at a meeting, it should be voted on by that body. I am not criticizing any not been put in place, and I am in this moment just trying to create that process by putting it in standing rules.
Alderwoman Boulain Saavedra.
Mr. Chair, just, I have to, I have a question.
Alderman Pabon was
Okay, I'm
ahead
sorry.
of you by a hair.
Hey, now you got it. Now, is there minutes on this committee meeting? Do we take minutes for this, for this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so, now what was the difference between the other meeting that we have, that we didn't have no minutes?
Mr. Vedra, why don't you field that one?
So the minutes are being taken. What's not happening is they're not coming back to the committees for approval. They're being taken and posted without being approved by the body that they're representing. That somebody else is posting what happened at the committee without the committee affirming, yes, these are the minutes of the meeting. We agree that this is a fair representation of what happened during that meeting.
So that would be
So it's seeking an approval process. Minutes are taken, but this is seeking to actually have an
Santiago.
All right, so it's gonna be two parts to answer. The other one is, again, we have the council that we do approve those minutes. We don't approve these minutes. We don't, it's not in the standing rules, or it's not in the FOI that we have to. So this is why she's producing this, to have it, so to come back and we approve, which I don't have nothing. It's just the idea was that it was confusion, a lot of things going on, and it is what it is. My other thing was, the question was to the corporate council on the idea of putting temporarily on the page. I don't think that's possible, because everything that reflects the page has to be voted on and agreed on.
The council meetings right now, though. I think they're, under state law, they're required to be posted within 7 days of the meeting. And I think that sometimes the council doesn't approve those minutes. Approval, and then if, for some reason, if there was a correction, then it would just be, the posting would be amended to reflect that correction. So I think that's what happens with the council meeting, the minutes, excuse me, right now. I think they're posted. I could be wrong on that.
I don't, because I don't see it there. I don't see
Well,
it.
because they've got to be approved within 7 days, so think about it. So you're having a council meeting tomorrow. Have to be posted by next Wednesday night, but you're not going to have another council meeting to approve those minutes prior to next Wednesday night, when they have to be posted according to the web. The idea is they're posted, and again, the minutes are only really reflecting the motions that were made and action that was taken, so and then if there's any corrections, like I said, once you have those corrections,
Then amended and everything is in place, and then
you would put the amended minutes on the posting, on the website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Establish this process. It is, especially, it's common council go through and approve minutes, and then have literally the same people in the same seats in the same room discussing the same business items, to then not have to just have that process minutes within state statutes, which obviously are going to happen no matter what, right? But to then go and approve those minutes before that post in 7 days. But if we were to approve that before that 7-day mark, like formally as a vote, then we would come to our regular meeting where we can bury the hatchet. So it's this logistical and practical concern that, and I'll admit it, I don't know what the answer is to that, but the clarification you just proposed, as now, use Robert's Rules of Order as a default. There is a procedure for minutes approval within Robert's Rules, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go and dig up. This is something that I've put hours and hours of research into.
Oh,
So-
boy, we got some Robert's Rules fans in here.
So-
Alderman Santiago.
Not to go against the idea, so the resolution is really not, because you have to amend this is the case.
No.
No, you wouldn't amend Robert's
Well,
rules.
not Robert's rules, the standing rules, I'm
The
sorry.
standing rules,
The standing
yep.
rules. So
Yep.
this resolution doesn't, back with another resolution to correct, to amend the
the
resolution.
standing rules.
Technically, this is not, we would have to come back or have another resolution, am I correct?
Yes.
That, to reflect those,
Or she can amend this resolution to.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay. To reflect the standing rules?
Committee approve the minutes.
Okay.
if I may.
Or you can start out, I mean, it's up to how you guys want to do it.
So if I may, we would just we would be posting the minutes exactly as we do with common council meetings within the 7-day period, and if subsequently those minutes are amended or changed at a meeting, they would just be swapped out on the website with the final version. We would be in compliance with the state law because they don't care 7 days. They don't care whether we've met and decided they're perfect. So we will just be implementing the same process that we do for common council meetings for subcommittee meetings, creating some consistency, perhaps. Is that correct? Is that my understanding?
That is correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We had Alderman McNamara and then Alderman Boyne Saavedra.
So just procedurally, and the minutes are created and posted, but they're not approved if an action taken by that committee the following Wednesday at the council without approval of the minutes, does that call into question any action taken by that committee? I just, I'm aware of the kerfuffle of objecting to a section in the minutes, PZH, yeah.
Kerfuffle indeed.
Yeah, that, and then in the course of that meeting, the FOI issue came to my attention, and I called it the attention, but not in recess. Colleague, and I did call him to that attention, that the issue being, you can't amend a special meeting. You can't call off the table any other items. It's only to call that meeting. So I think that's how this kerfuffle got. That being said, I think certainly the minutes should come back to the committees for approval.
A full clarification, Alderwoman Boyne Saavedra.
I'd just like to propose an amendment, and in my opinion, at this point in time, the kerfuffle has come and gone. I've stated publicly my opinion about that twice. There's no need to keep digging that ditch. So this is strictly about creating a process. So what I'd like to do as an amendment is strike all, so there's no language in this resolution that's in front of you, and just strictly say that we would like to amend the standing rules to require the such minutes shall contain the makers of motions and the votes. The minute should be posted within 7 days in accordance with the Connecticut General Statutes and adopted at the next regular meeting of that committee.
Second.
All right. I have all in favor of the amendment of the resolution. Opposed, nay. The resolution, the amendment passes on the resolution. Any further discussion of the underlying resolution? Any further discussion? As amended. We have a neutral recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The recommendation passes.
Motion to adjourn?
Aye, we have a motion to adjourn. All right, second, motion to adjourn by Alderman Santiago. Everyone have a great night. Thank you. Aye. Aye.